Hello students, my name is Kevin. Welcome back to the practicum video of electric motor and drives subject. In this video, we will discuss practicum module 2, which is about the DC power supply and voltage regulator. This is the laboratory apparatus that we created for practicum module 2. Take a close-up look at this apparatus. Here we have several components. The first one is transformer or trafo, the gold one over here. And this is a step-down trafo. Therefore, the function of this step-down trafo is to reduce the voltage. On this occasion, we will use a voltage grid as our source, which means we have 220 volt RMS, and we will reduce the voltage to 24 volt RMS. The second component is diode bridge, the black one down here. We also call this component as a rectifier. The function of a rectifier is to change the AC signal to become DC signal. As you can see here, there are 4 legs. 2 legs indicate an AC signal or input, and the other 2 legs indicate positive and negative, which means DC signal or output signal. The third component is capacitor in here. Here we utilize 2 capacitors, the polar capacitor and also non-polar capacitor. The fourth component is resistor. We have 2 resistors, the gray one and also the white one. Both resistors have different resistance value. The fifth component is IC regulator, the black one over here. Later in this video, we will discuss IC regulator in detail. In the first experiment, we will learn about the function of a rectifier or a diode bridge. We know that the rectifier input is an AC signal, but we want to prove it by observing the input signal on the oscilloscope. Therefore, I will connect the red cable and black cable from the rectifier's input legs to the oscilloscope. Before that, I want to show you the cable type that we use. This is a coaxial cable. This is a BNC cable head, and this is a crocodile head. We use the BNC cable head to connect to the oscilloscope. Meanwhile, we use the crocodile head because it's easy to connect with the cable on our laboratory apparatus. The coaxial cable has 4 important parts. The first one is the conductor. The second one is the insulation, the white one over here. The third part is the shield, the silver one over here. And the last part is the cable jacket, the black one in here. In general, we use the conductor part as a positive, meanwhile the shield part as negative. The coaxial cable is widely used in the transmission line, such as used to carry data or signals from a TV antenna, radio, internet, and etc. Why do we use coaxial cable to transmit signals? Find the answer and we will discuss it in the discussion session. Back to our experiment. We have already connected the input legs of the rectifier to the oscilloscope by using a coaxial cable. Move to the oscilloscope. As you can see here, the oscilloscope shows a sinusoidal signal with a positive value and also a negative value, which means this is an AC signal. On your right, you can see the frequency and also the peak-to-peak value of the signal. It shows 50 Hz frequency. It's correct, right? Because it's the same with grid frequency. The peak-to-peak value is 71.2 volt. So the signal amplitude or peak value is 71.2 volt divided by 2. It's about 35.6 volt. At the beginning of the video, I said that the trafo would reduce the grid voltage to 24 volt RMS. Calculate the RMS value of our measurement signal. The RMS value of our measurement signal should be 24 volt because we use the trafo output as rectifier input. After that, we will see the signal from rectifier output. Therefore, I connect the red and black cable from the rectifier output legs to the oscilloscope. Red cable positive and black cable negative to the oscilloscope. This is our measurement result. The yellow graph is the previous measurement signal from the rectifier input. Meanwhile, the blue graph is the measurement signal from rectifier output. You see, right now there will be no negative signal. You only see the positive signal. So it looks like we fold up the negative signal to become the positive signal. The peak value of our measurement signal is 34.8 volt. It's approximately the same as previous measurement. Complete your worksheet and provide a conclusion about the function of a rectifier. In the second experiment, we will learn about the function of a capacitor. As you have already learned in the lecture, you know that the capacitor will store energy and the capacitor will also smoothen the ripple in the signal. We will prove that with oscilloscope. First, we combine the rectifier output and the capacitor. The red cable from the rectifier with the red cable from the capacitor and black cable as well. After we combine it, we will connect it with the oscilloscope by using a coaxial cable. This is our measurement result. The yellow graph is our measurement signal from combination of rectifier and capacitor. Meanwhile, the blue graph is the measurement signal from rectifier output. Right now, you only see straight line. But it's correct. The oscilloscope is not broken. This is our measurement signal. You remember that the signal from rectifier output is like this. When the signal voltage is going down, the capacitor will supply it. So that's why you will see a straight line. Because when it doesn't get supply from the grid, the capacitor will give supply. In the lecture, you know that you still have a little bit of ripple voltage even when you are use a capacitor. But why we don't see any ripple in our measurement signal? Find the answer. Until now, we have already succeeded in creating the unregulated DC power supply by combining rectifier output and also capacitor. In this section, we want to observe the capability of the unregulated DC power supply if there is a load. In our laboratory apparatus, we use resistors to represent the load. We have two resistors with different resistance value. We will begin this experiment with resistance measurement on the resistors. We will start the resistance measurement with the gray resistor over here. The resistance of the gray resistor is about 99 ohms. Meanwhile, the white resistor over here is 198 ohms. Before we start the experiment, we have to measure the output voltage from unregulated DC power supply. We measure it with a voltmeter. Red cable positive and black cable negative. And the output voltage is around 34 volt. For the first experiment, we will use the gray resistor. We connect the the red cable from the gray resistor with DC power supply circuit, and also black cable from the resistor with DC power supply circuit. After that, we will measure the output voltage again. Red cable positive and black cable negative, and the output voltage is about 26 volt. Calculate the voltage drop by comparing the measurement result with the initial output voltage before we connect the load. For the second measurement, we change to the white resistor. It's the same procedure as before, connecting the resistor with the DC power supply circuit and measure the voltage. Red cable from the resistor connect with the red cable from the DC power supply circuit, and black cable as well. After that, we measure the voltage output. Positive red cable and negative black cable, and the voltmeter shows 28 volt. Calculate the voltage drop. Based on our measurement, we find that the output voltage always drops when the load occurs on the circuit. But look carefully at the measurement result. When we use the gray resistor with 99 ohms, the voltage drops to 26 volt. Meanwhile, when we use 198 ohms or white resistor, the voltage drops to 28 volt. How did this happen? What aspect does affect the voltage drop? Next section, we want to create a regulated DC power supply. Therefore, we need a regulator component. And we use LM317 IC regulator in our laboratory apparatus. As you can see here, IC regulator has 3 legs: voltage input, voltage output, and ground. In here, we also use potentiometer, resistor, and capacitor to vary the output voltage of the regulated DC power supply. To create a regulated DC power supply, we connect the voltage input leg to the positive of unregulated DC power supply. And ground legs from IC regulator to the negative of our unregulated DC power supply. And finally, we only have 2 cables as our output. The first one, or the red cable here, is from output legs of IC regulator. Meanwhile, the black one over here is the ground or negative value. Let's connect with the multimeter and try it. Red cable positive and black cable negative. Set the multimeter feature to volt DC. You see, when I rotate the potentiometer, the output voltage is changing. It's getting bigger, or you can rotate it counterclockwise so that it will be smaller. From now, we set the output voltage to 12 volt. And we will use 12 volt for next experiment. Next, we want to observe the capability of the regulated DC power supply if there is a load in the circuit. We will use the same resistor as before, the gray resistor with 99 ohms and the white resistor with 198 ohms. For the first experiment, we will use the gray resistor. We connect the resistor with the regulated DC power supply circuit. It's easy. Red cable with red cable and black cable as well. After you connect, we will measure the output voltage by using a multimeter. Red cable positive and black cable negative. And the multimeter shows around 12.3 volt. Compare the measurement result with the initial output voltage. Is there any voltage drop? For the second measurement, we change to the white resistor. It is the same as before. Connecting the resistor with the DC power supply circuit and measure the output voltage. Red cable from the resistor to the red cable of regulated DC power supply. And black cable from resistor to black cable of the DC power supply circuit. Let's measure the voltage by using a multimeter. Red cable positive and black cable negative. It shows about 12.3 volt. Is there any voltage drop? Compare this measurement result with the unregulated DC power supply experiment result before. Is regulated DC power supply better? Provide your analysis. Next section, we want to conduct a DC motor characteristic experiment. Therefore, we are going to connect the DC motor to the regulated DC power supply. DC motor represents the load. We will measure the current and speed of the DC motor for certain voltage. Before we start the experiment, I want to show you the working principle of a tachometer. We use tachometer to measure rotational speed or RPM. Tachometer has two important components, the transmitter and receiver. I hope you can see it from the video. Here, you see a hole. This is a transmitter component. When I press measure, the transmitter will emit infrared or laser. Meanwhile, you see the circle beside the hole, it looks like glass. And that is the receiver component. The transmitter will emit infrared and the receiver will receive the infrared which is reflected back from the measured object. Back to our experiment. We will measure voltage and current. Therefore, we utilize two multimeter. The first multimeter works as voltmeter and we install it parallel to the load. The second multimeter works as amperemeter and we install it in series with the load. We also use tachometer. we want to measure the DC motor speed. Therefore, we have to attach a reflector on the DC motor. If infrared meets reflector, it will be reflected back and received by the receiver component on the tachometer. The tachometer measures the period of each infrared signal received by the receiver component. Let's get the data. First measurement, we give 3 volt to the motor and the ampere meter shows 109 milliampere and the DC motor speed is 396.7 RPM. The second measurement, we give 5 volt to the motor. It's already 5 volt and the ampere meter shows 121 milliampere. The DC motor speed is 720.7 RPM. Third measurement, we change the voltage to 8 volt. Okay, the voltage already 8 volt and then the ampere meter shows 137 milliampere. The DC motor speed is 1238 RPM. Fourth measurement, we change the voltage to 12 volt. Okay, it's already around 12 volt and the electric current is 155 milliampere. Meanwhile, the DC motor speed is 1903 RPM. Next measurement, fifth measurement, we give 15 volt to the DC motor. The ampere meter shows 160 milliampere. Meanwhile, the DC motor speed is 2432 RPM. Sixth measurement, we give 20 volt. Okay, it's already 20 volt. And then the ampere meter shows 172 milliampere. Meanwhile, the DC motor speed is 3301 RPM. This is the last data. Complete your worksheet. Give your analysis regarding the measurement data. Before we move to next section, I want to show you something. I give approximately 1 volt to the motor, but the DC motor doesn't work. You see, when I measure it the RPM with tachometer, the tachometer also shows 0 RPM. How did this happen? Why the DC motor doesn't work even though we give a voltage to the motor? Last section, we will learn how to control the DC motor by using a switch. A very simple switch, single pole and single throw or SPST switch to turn the DC motor on and off. From the previous experiment, the DC motor cannot stop running unless we stop the supply from the DC power supply. We don't like this condition. Therefore, we will utilize a switch to control the DC motor. Switch is installed in series with the DC power supply and also the DC motor. How to install the switch in the circuit? First, look at the SPST switch. It has 3 cables. Let's check the connection of this cable by using multimeter buzzer. When the lever is in this position, we check all the connection. First, brown and black. The buzzer doesn't sound. Brown and yellow. The buzzer also doesn't sound. And finally, black and yellow. The buzzer sound. The buzzer only sound in black and yellow cable. Therefore, the current will flow through this cable if the lever is in this position. Change the lever into that position. We also check all connection. First, yellow and black. It doesn't sound. Brown and yellow. It doesn't sound. And finally, brown and black. The buzzer sound. The buzzer only sound in black and brown cable. Therefore, the electric current will flow through this cable if the lever is in that position. What do these two conditions have in common? Both of them are connected to the middle cable or black cable. Therefore, we have to use the middle cable while using a SPST switch. Imagine you are using the Imagine if you are only using the brown and yellow cable without the middle cable or black cable. Then, what is the position of the lever so that the current can flow? None of them, because we have already proved it before. The brown and yellow cable is not possible to connect. After we know the working principle of SPST switch, then it's easy to install it in our circuit. Connect the middle cable or black cable from the switch to the output of regulated DC power supply, and yellow cable from the switch to the DC motor. Let's try it. You see, when the lever is in this position, the DC motor stops. Meanwhile, if I change the lever position into that position, the DC motor is running. Remember the lever position for on condition because we need it later. You can also change the cable connection between the DC motor and switch, but the lever position for on and off condition is the opposite direction of the one that we are using now. Let's try it. Connect the brown cable from the switch to the DC motor. Brown cable to the DC motor. You see, the lever position for on condition is different from the previous one. The previous one, that position is on, right? Meanwhile, right now, you have to change the lever position into this position to make it the DC motor running. But basically, the main purpose to control the DC motor is achieved with any kind of configuration. Complete your worksheet. Draw the electric circuit to control the DC motor using SPST switch.